Hey guys, welcome back to Based MMA. In this video, I'm gonna be talking about UFC 294 that just took place a couple of hours, guys, and I was dreading making this video, guys. Alexander Volkanovski just got head kick KO. The worst possible outcome came true, and that's what I meant, guys. That's what I meant when prior to this, when this fight got announced, a lot of people out there were saying that Volkanovski had absolutely nothing to lose. And I could not disagree more. I felt like there was a lot to lose. I felt that go back and watch those videos. I said if Volkanovski gets TKO, KO'd clean, which he did, which was nasty, his trajectory is downhill. His trajectory is downhill. And even prior to Volkanovski taking this fight, man, a lot of people were hating on me because I thought Ilya Topuria was going to be very competitive against Volkanovski. I get Volkanovski has been looking incredible, but you can't be in your prime forever. And the guy was hitting 36 years old, so I felt like okay, we might be able to see Volkanovski start to decline. And I just thought Ilya Topuria's skills, very heavy hands, a great boxer, great striker, also very good on the ground. I think it could give Volkanovski problems at featherweight. Obviously, when I made that video, I didn't know that Volkanovski was going to step in necessarily and save UFC 294, right? But like I said, when this fight got announced and we learned that Volkanovski was going to step in, I knew that Volkanovski was taking a big risk, guys. I knew he was taking a big risk. A lot of people thought that Islam Makhachev was going to be able to submit him. I never saw that outcome personally. I never saw it. I thought, whoever ends up winning this fight is going to be by KO TKO inside 3 rounds. I didn't think it was going to end in the first round, but I thought, okay, this fight isn't going out of the third round. Obviously, I did pick Volkanovski, which I'm sure you guys want me to mention. I did pick Volkanovski to win this fight. I thought, Volkanovski has been making adjustments even after that first Islam fight. I thought he was making adjustments even before the Yair fight. So I thought that maybe he had something in his game plan that he could implement that he learned from that first fight, especially in that fifth round, that he could use against Islam in the rematch. And he did say all week, man, that he was gonna start more aggressive and that he was gonna try to knock out Islam. And I thought, that might work, right? That might work because, if you try to play Islam's game, then I think it's more likely that he takes down Volkanovski and stuff like that. And to be honest, guys, like even I did say that the circumstances were a bit overemphasized. I felt like too many people were talking about the circumstances, and now with Volkanovski getting head kick KO'd, like even if it was on a full cam, that could have still happened. You know what I'm saying? And when Islam tried to grapple against Volkanovski, I mean Volkanovski did a pretty good job. I mean he didn't get taken down in this fight, so it wasn't even a short notice thing. He just got caught with a head kick KO. Like what do you do? He got caught. It is what it is. I mean, he dared to be great. I mean, he did look a little bit more hesitant on the feet. I thought he was gonna take more chances early on, but it almost seemed like he was waiting for Islam Makhachev to do something. I don't know what it was, which really gave a lot more confidence to Islam Makhachev to land that body kick that he was landing, which was doing a pretty good job of slowing down Volkanovski. I don't think Volkanovski landed anything clean on Islam Makhachev. I mean, I might have to go watch it again, but that I could remember, I don't think Volkanovski landed anything clean on Islam Makhachev. And yeah, man, I mean, Islam Makhachev did a great job setting up that head kick. I mean, he was going low. He was kicking Volkanovski's body, landing a lot of good body kicks. And then, yeah, he landed that head kick KO and landed some nasty, nasty shots when Volkanovski fell. And it's a bad KO. It's a bad KO, and it pains me to say this because I'm a big Volkanovski fan, man, and obviously, like I believed in him. I really do believe in him. I respect the fact that he dared to be great, but on 10 days notice, not being necessarily in fight shape, like that's a lot of odds to be against, and respect to him, but I don't think it's just about this fight necessarily. A lot of YouTubers out there, I'm in agreement that this is going to affect his longevity moving forward. And, it does kind of change his legacy. Like, unfortunately, like the first fight kind of gets erased with this performance because all people are going to remember is that, yeah, maybe the first Islam fight was close and Volkanovski did great, but what happened in the second fight? Oh yeah, he got head kick KO in the first round. You know what I'm saying? So that sucks for Volkanovski's legacy. That's what I meant, guys, when this fight got announced, and I said that in a way it would have been good if Volkanovski never fought Islam again, right? Because if Islam starts destroying all these lightweights, and then people remember, but yeah, man, he had a really close fight with Volkanovski, and Volkanovski, stays in the featherweight division and just completely destroys all the featherweights, then that Islam loss to like wouldn't look as bad now. You know what I'm saying? But now he got hit KO by Islam. You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely a hit to Volkanovski's legacy, man. And I'm very worried. I'm very worried for Volkanovski. After the fight ended, he did say that he wanted to return in January to fight Ilia Topuria, which is a stupid decision. It's a stupid decision if he returns in January, guys. He got KO'd. He got KO'd badly. He was seeing stars, man. He got KO'd. You know what I'm saying? So for him to return in January would be really, really stupid for him to return in January against somebody as dangerous as Ilia Topuria, 26, 27 years old, undefeated. And regardless of who you think might win that fight in terms of skill, if Volkanovski returns in January, after getting killed like this against Ilia Topuria, I'm picking Ilia Topuria to win that fight, man. No. Volkanovski needs to take some time off. His coaches need to protect him from himself. And yeah, I mean, I agree with Lucas Tracy on this one. I think Volkanovski's it's good to believe in yourself, but he needs to be careful with the decisions he makes. He's human. At the end of the day, he's human, and he's an incredible athlete, of course, but he's human, and he is in the later part of his career. He's not 30, he's not 27. He's already been champ. He's defended his belt. Personally, I thought that Volkanovski's I still think he's kind of in his prime, but I felt like he looked unbeatable against like Korean Zombie, Brian Ortega, that Max Holloway trilogy. Volkanovski just looked absolutely incredible. Even in that first Islam Makhachev fight, he looked incredible. But he didn't even look that bad in this fight because this fight wasn't that long. I think that Volkanovski got KO'd like in the second minute of the first round. I think there was 3 minutes had passed. So it wasn't like we saw too much of a fight. They did have some exchanges in the clinch, and then in the open, like I said, Islam Makhachev was landing really good body kicks, which I think were gonna start to affect Alexander Volkanovski as the later rounds went on. So Islam Makhachev fought absolutely perfect. Respect to him, right? Because he also accepted the fight on 10 days notice. And I'm not going to make any excuses, guys. I'm not going to say that, Alexander Volkanovski got caught because he didn't have a full training camp. No, that could have happened with a full training camp. You know what I'm saying? He just got caught. But, it sucks, man. It sucks because he didn't need to take this fight, but he did. And you can only respect him for it. And this is why I said, guys, look, I got my prediction wrong for the main event. It is what it is. I picked Volkanovski to win. And but everything else surrounding this fight, I was right about. I was right that that the original card was going to be better. The original card was going to be better. Because if we would have gotten Charles Oliveira, I think he would have put a better fight than Volkanovski on short notice. Obviously, Charles Oliveira can also get caught, but he could also catch Islam Makhachev. And I just think overall Charles Oliveira is a more dangerous opponent for Islam Makhachev than Alexander Volkanovski. I get that Alexander Volkanovski put a better fight against Islam Makhachev the first time, but I still think Charles Oliveira is an overall more dangerous fighter, and I think he can make the adjustments to really hurt Islam Makhachev. He's more dangerous on the feet. He's more dangerous on the ground. But it is what it is. It seems like that's the fight that's going to happen next, which is interesting, right? Because part of me also wants, I think Gaethje kind of deserves that shot next, to be totally honest with you. I much prefer seeing Gaethje versus Islam next, and then maybe Charles fights the winner. But it seems like Dana White wants to make that fight. And then let's talk a little bit about the co-main event, Khamzat Chimaev versus Kamaru Usman. Khamzat Chimaev didn't look too great. He did have a lot of control time in the very first round, but Usman did a very good job of defending. It almost looked like he was gonna get submitted, and then he slammed on the floor, and he did pretty good. What a lackluster fight, to be totally honest with you guys. I can't lie. Look, I get it. It's MMA, and we're supposed to appreciate every aspect of MMA. As a hardcore fan, we're supposed to appreciate every aspect of MMA. I was expecting a little bit more. Hamza looked terrible on the feet, man. He looked absolutely terrible. Obviously, now we've learned that he broke his wrist in the very first round, which made a lot of sense, man, because he looked so hesitant on the feet. I know he went. I know he went to a war with Burns, but I was like, man, did that fight really like affect him that much? Like he's so hesitant now to throw strikes. Like he was just throwing like low kicks but he wasn't really throwing much with his hands. And Usman started to tag him up. And personally, guys, I thought that fight was a draw, man. I thought that fight could have been a draw. I thought the second round was close, but I leaned Usman. The third round, I gave it to Usman, and then the first round, I gave to Hamza Chimaev. I know some people were making the argument that maybe the first round could have been a 10-8, but personally, I thought either it felt like a draw when it ended to me, right? Not even judging based on the rounds, based on the separate rounds, it just felt like a draw to me. Like it felt like, oh, there was no definitive winner. That's kind of how the fight felt to me, but that doesn't mean that necessarily that's how the fight went. But when I was judging the rounds live, I gave the first time to Hamza, obviously, which a lot of people were saying that it was a 10-8. I don't know if it was a 10-8, man. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. The second round was a very slow round. Not a lot of output from either guys, but I remember Usman having an exchange like a minute, like the last minute of that round where he kind of landed like a jab and a right hand on Hamza Chimaev, which kind of made him go backwards. So I kind of felt okay, like he landed the better strikes in that second round. So I gave that second round to Usman. And then the third round, I felt like Usman was doing a lot better up until he got taken down a little bit and controlled. But I felt like, okay, Hamza Chimaev took him down like I want to say the last minute. So I don't think that's enough for him to get the round. But, um, you know, it is what it is. I mean, I'm a little bit conflicted because it should have either been a draw or an Usman win, 29-28. But at the same time, like I don't want to see Usman versus Sean Strickland for the title, man. That doesn't excite me. I'd rather see like a Hamza Chimaev or a Dricus Du Plessis. That's really what the UFC should do, man. The UFC should do Dricus Du Plessis versus Sean Strickland for the middleweight title, and then make Hamza Chimaev fight one more, man. Because this is not a performance that, in my opinion, earns you a title shot. You couldn't really finish a guy that comes in on 10 days notice from a smaller division than you. You know, I think Paulo Costa could have given him problems, man. I think Paulo Costa with his volume striking could have given Hamza Chimaev problems, especially if Paulo Costa is able to survive that first round against Hamza Chimaev's grappling. I think Paulo Costa would have pieced him up on the feet, man. That's kind of what I learned. Which before this matchup, I did. That was my breakdown for Paulo Costa versus Hamza Chimaev. That I did. I said that I was like, I feel like that fight's gonna be a war, and I think that Paulo Costa's style is just a little bit better suited against Hamza Chimaev than Kamaru Usman, because Kamaru Usman kind of fights a little bit like Hamza Chimaev in the sense that, like, they're more cerebral with their strikes, and they're not volume strikers, you know what I'm saying? And I think somebody like Paulo Costa throws really nasty body kicks that would have worked amazing against Hamza Chimaev. So yeah, like the original card would have been better than this card, in my opinion. Obviously the Magomed Ankalaev versus Johnny Walker situation was absolutely stupid. That fight should have gone on. It is what it is. I mean, Ikram had an amazing performance. The guy's definitely the real deal in the middleweight division, and I hope they rebook his fight with Imavov again. And then Seydou Magomedov also had a pretty good submission in the first round. Um, I wasn't too impressed with Mohamed Mokaev. I mean, that fight was kind of a snooze fest up until he was able to get that submission in that third round. But overall, not the best of cards, guys. Not the best of cards. Of course, if Alexander Volkanovski would have won the fight, I would have been like, oh, amazing card, amazing card. Who cares about the rest of the fights on the card? But he ended up getting head kick KO, which breaks my heart, man. It breaks my heart because, he's one of my favorite fighters, and you always want to see these guys reach greatness and be one of the best ever. And, I still think he's one of the best fighters ever. But obviously, this kind of loss. One, it does affect his legacy. It affects his trajectory moving forward. We don't know how he's gonna come back, and I just watched the Alexander Volkanovski post-fight press conference, and he was talking about how he felt like he needed to get back in the octagon. Like he was kind of in a dark place that he just didn't like not being in training camp and stuff like that, which it kind of made him take this fight. But maybe he shouldn't have taken this fight on short notice against such a skillful guy, Islam Makhachev. But so I respect him for that. But I still think that he needs to get your mental health in check. Take care of that. But at the same time, don't make stupid ass decisions and just get into the octagon and take fights just because. You know what I'm saying? Like, so he needs to be very smart with his career moving forward. I think if he beats Ilya Topuria, he should retire. I think he should retire if he beats Ilya Topuria, man. Which I don't think he will. I don't think he will. And if he loses to Ilya Topuria, I don't think he'll retire, which is kind of the more concerning thing. That is, just seems like if Alexander Volkanovski, like he is the type of guy not to retire when he should, because he's such a competitor. But man, he got head kick KO bad. He got head kick KO bad. Um, yeah, it was very painful, guys. I didn't even react. Like, it wasn't like when Dustin Poirier got head kick KO. I was like, oh my god, you got head kick KO. Oh my god. With this one, it was just kind of like, oh wow. Like, yeah, I don't know. It just felt so surreal. It just, I don't know. It didn't feel real. It was weird to see Volkanovski look like that. Um, and yeah, I mean, let's talk a little bit about Islam Makhachev. Enough about Alexander Volkanovski. We gotta give Islam Makhachev his credit. He's an amazing fighter, amazing striker. We learned a couple fights ago. Man, this guy is so good on the feet, so dangerous, man. And he's such a complete mixed martial artist. And I truly do believe that if he does end up moving up to the welterweight division to fight the winner of Leon versus Colby, I think he has a really good chance of beating either of those guys. I think he could beat Leon. I think he could beat Colby Covington on the feet. Um, that fight could be competitive, but we gotta see how Colby Covington returns because he hasn't fought in quite a while now. So we gotta see how those guys look in December. And I wasn't too impressed with Leon Edwards in the trilogy against Kamaru Usman. So we gotta see how that fight turns out, how competitive it looks, and then see how Islam Makhachev might stack against him. But I mean, Islam Makhachev took no damage in this fight, guys. So in my opinion, guys, I think that they shouldn't do a double champ fight with Islam Makhachev. I think he needs to fight another lightweight and then start stacking those lightweight defenses and then fight at 170. Because like I said, once these guys start going for a double champ, it really just disrupts the division and you hold them back, man. You hold up the division because there's contenders waiting and then we keep waiting for months and months. Like, you know what I'm saying? So if anything, if the UFC is thinking of doing Charles Oliveira next, they should do it very soon. They should do it very soon. Do Charles Oliveira versus Islam next. And then sometime mid next year, you do the winner of Charles versus Islam. You make them fight Justin Gaethje. You know what I'm saying? And then that makes more sense for the division because at least you keep the division moving. So in a way, if Volkanovski would have won, I mean, it would have messed up both the featherweight division and the lightweight division. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like these double champ fights need to be something special and like a once in a while type of thing. You know what I'm saying? I don't want it to become a normal thing. Don't get me wrong. It's cool to see these guys attempt greatness. And I'm sure that nowadays a UFC fighter is not enough to just be champion. You need to be double champ. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, the UFC needs to be very careful with that because you can't hold up divisions and then you just create it's just bad. You just jam log it pretty much. And you just don't want to see that. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to see that. And, Charles Oliveira, he had a pretty bad cut, but I'm pretty sure besides that, he's fine. Islam Makhachev took no damage in this fight. So if the UFC is looking to make that fight, make it soon. Make it in February, make it in March. Yeah, and I mean, I think that's what's next. And then I think the winner of Leon versus Colby, as much as I don't think we want to see that fight, I think Bilal deserves it. I think, honestly, Bilal Muhammad deserves it. And I would like to see Kamaru Usman stay in the middleweight division. I mean, that might be a hot take. He didn't look bad, man. Kamaru Usman looked pretty good for stepping in on 10 days notice. I thought, he needed to trust his hands a little bit more in the second round, but I think he was a little bit more hesitant in that second round because of the grappling that took place in that first round, and he saw how much he had to work to like not get submitted against Hamza Chimaev. So I think that kind of made Kamaru Usman a bit more hesitant, but Hamza Chimaev looked very hesitant on the feet in the second round when I was like, bro, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing, bro? Like, it was very weird card, guys. Very weird card, but yeah, I'm really sad about Alexander Volkanovski losing, guys. It is what it is. It's the fight game. It's MMA, guys. But anyway, I hope I didn't ramble too much. Please make sure to like the video, subscribe to this channel if you're new, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.